Hi, you are watching Eye on South Asia and I am Sunil Hali.
Prakash Swami, Managing Editor, The Indian Express, North America.
Every week we bring to you news, views and latest happenings in South Asian community in North America. And we have today with us, Prakash, some really good interesting stories and developments even at the tail end of this year. We had a very good session in the United Nations, as you know, and our own Member Parliament, Mr. P.C. Gupta, tabled on the discussion about the safety of the nuclear plants. This has become a very hot subject, especially after what happened in Japan. And that Fukushima fiasco has really led to a global awareness on nuclear plants, that we need that kind of alternate source of energy, but we need to see how to be safe about it. And you obviously know about what happened or the worries about Chennai.
Yeah, obviously, India is drying out of other forms of energy.
Right.
We are to depend only on the nuclear power. And the government of India set up a nuclear power project plant with the Russian assistance in Kudankulam in South India near Kanyakumari. That's created a big uproar, and it's become a big anti-nuclear power movement in the country, saying that they should not have nuclear power. I mean, pros and cons. Even a president of India, former President Abdul Kalam, supported for a safe nuclear plant. And our promise in the UN through this MP is to make sure to the world that India is going to take a lot of safety measures to avoid any disaster in the nuclear plants.
Yeah, Prakash, I think India has taken it as a frontline issue, but they're not against it. Like the MP said, look, we do agree that the nuclear energy is an essential element of its national energy basket. In fact, he gave some data that we envisage a major expansion of nuclear energy in the coming decade, 20,000 megawatt by 2020, and projected to grow to 60,000 megawatt by 2030. What he is saying is that we are convinced that the world nuclear community will rise to the occasion and take all necessary measures. Like you said, we need to be cautious and take all necessary measures to assuage the concerns of the public at large about the safety of nuclear power plants. So it is imperative that the member states join hands to strengthen IAEA. So we're not saying that we should not go in that direction, but it's that it's a very, with a small mistake, you could be in deep trouble. So we need to be very, very cautious about it. And it's very important for the agency to take all necessary measures to allay any misapprehensions in the public and member state. Ultimately, it becomes a political issue. When common man thinks about, oh my God, this happens to Japan, where do we stand? Especially in India, like you talked about the South Indian states where this thing is coming up. So it's very important that safety of the nuclear plant is a top agenda while we are trying to develop a nuclear plants as an alternative energy.
Yeah, because India is facing so much shortage of power, except few states like Gujarat. Every other state is deficient in power, and they want 100,000 megawatts of power because so many energies are coming up, so many factories are coming up. Every household has become electrified. Right. And you can't depend on coal because they were importing coal at a very heavy price. Right. And even there's a coal shortage. Right. And you can't go in for solar, it's just started. And wind energy produces very few, maybe 20 megawatts of power. It is not enough. So the only alternative is safe nuclear power plants in India.
Right. And you just touched that subject about the US solar exports to India. Yeah. And it's a very interesting development. The Exim Bank, which has tied up as a guarantor to the loans from other banks, they've come back with a program whereby you can actually import from America and they will finance it. Yeah. In fact, very recently bank has approved almost $103.2 million worth for 2 solar deals. Just 2 solar deals alone have been financed from here. And that tells you that the solar power, as you touched it, has gotten a priority, and America will be exporting that technology to India with the hardware. Yes. And the bank itself is ready to finance. But I'll tell you, this bank, Export-Import Bank, is not only looking for solar, but they are coming up with any kind of program you have where you import hardware from America, we will finance it.
Absolutely.
So very interesting development for India especially, and if it is getting that kind of a status and that kind of recognition, I think a lot of importers from India have a good field in America to get the money as well as the hardware from here. United Nations, as we're talking about, the United Nations always promotes the tolerance and non-violence. That's been their preamble, and they recently honored two individuals in that field. One is the from Afghanistan, Anarkali Honariyar. She is the defendant of the rights of women and minority groups in Afghanistan. And the other person, Palestinian activist Khalid Abu Awad, has been recognized to receive an award for UN education. It's a very interesting way how United Nations globally comes up with these programs and supports with all kinds of muscle, I would say, so that the member nations could finance it. And then at the end, they also recognize these kind of efforts by different individuals in the different countries. I think it's a very encouraging thing, and in the Scientific and Cultural Organization of UNESCO, Madanjit Singh Prize for the Promotion of Tolerance and Non-Violence, as I said, is going to be given on December 9, and I'm sure you're looking forward to it and to attend it.
Absolutely.
The next news we have is of our own Mr. Narendra Singh. He has been elected to the International Law Commission. Again, it's an international body. It's a good development for especially Indians, global Indians, who are making huge place. And the United Nations General Assembly has re-elected Mr. Narendra Singh of India as a member of International Law Commission for a 5-year term beginning January 2012.
This is a re-election.
Oh, this is a re-election.
Yes. And I had the great opportunity of working and interacting with Narendra Singh when he was a consul law at the Permanent Mission of India in New York during 97, 98, 99, that period. He's one of the brilliant legal brains of the country serving the government. I used to jokingly tell him, if you had been in the private practice, you could have been like Ram Jethmalani
Right.
or Isoli Sorabji.
Right.
Then he was saying, no, I want to serve my country. And he's the one who deals with all the international legal problems on behalf of the government of India. And I'm very happy that he got re-elected, and he's got an absolute track record of good image in the UN. Even the Secretary General calls him and listens to him if he's got any personal problem, the problem between two countries, not related to India. He is there to advise him.
So it's good for India that you have one more member coming into that position being re-elected. Interesting. On the other hand, lots of states in America right now are looking at India purely from their own state's initiative point of view. You have seen in the past, New York State sent their people, the Utah State sent the people from there. I remember Ohio sending it from there, New Jersey sent it from there, and now we have the Virginia governor, Robert McDonnell, who has hired two individuals who are Indians, and they've been hired to be the trade representatives for the state of Virginia.
Sure.
And they want to look at one-to-one between the Virginia and the different industries and different states in India to do a kind of trade dealings with them and not just depend on the federal part of it. Very interesting, and he has announced the Virginia Economic Development Partnership, and they have hired the two individuals I talked to you about, Kavan Bhandari of Sparta Strategy, who will represent Virginia in Mumbai, and Srinath Rao of Feedback Consulting Services, who will be based in Bangalore. They have chosen the two most important parts of India. Bombay is the business capital, and Bangalore is the technology capital. So these two individuals will develop the program, work with the governor, work with the state, and these two member cities to develop a business relationship between the two parts of the world.
Absolutely.
Interesting. With our neighbors, once again, Pakistan, some very interesting development. Pakistan has always had a status of most favored nation with India, while it was not true the other way around. Now Pakistan has taken a step forward and declared India as a most favored nation, which is a very good development. That means there is no restriction.
Yeah.
So any product, you can work with each other and import, export, do business with each other. Despite all the other differences that continue to somehow come down, and India had taken earlier a stand that certain things they will do only if the November 26th terrorists who are being tried are picked up, and I kind of I don't know if they'll be executed, or at least they are tried properly. But Pakistan said, let's take one step forward and let's try to widen the trade between Pakistan and India, and it will be effective from February. Very, very good development. At least on the business side, the two countries are moving forward. And the cultural side, they have been always friends. And I also believe they're also talking on the cricket level. I heard the chairman of Pakistan Cricket Board said they're looking at next year, June, July time when they will resume cricket between Pakistan and India. So sports, business, culture, and obviously at some point political, there'll be some kind of...
Always the people-to-people contact are the one that's going to, strengthen the bonds between any two countries with high level of suspicion.
Right.
I mean, it's not that, it's only even at the political level, I find at the UN, the Indian ambassador and the Pakistani ambassador always chit-chat, they're together. In most of the issues, they're together.
Right.
So I think there's a good thinking among the country, among the people that, let's forget whatever happened in the past and move on, because now we can't afford to make the mistake of going on a war with any other country. So we need to resolve the differences, work with them, and make sure that this kind of progress in economic front would strengthen the trade, good relationship between the two countries.
Correct. And you mentioned our own friend, Mr. Hussain Haqqani, who is the Pakistan's ambassador to US. He's kind of run into a little bit of rough waters. Yeah. And in fact, he has offered the resignation because he's run into a controversy that he, in consultation with Zardari, President Zardari, had reached out to the US for help when there was that, they took care of Osama bin Laden. And President Zardari was worried that there may be a coup and military may take over the government. So to dissuade that from happening, with the help from the ambassador, he had reached out to US, which according to the president did not happen. So he has summoned Haqqani, who actually reports to the president. The ambassador always reports to the president of the country, back. And I guess there is going to be, they need to find out what is the truth. And this report has really gone up high because the military is upset with it and they're up in arms against President Zardari in case there is any iota of truth in it. So in that controversy, at least ambassador has offered, look, this did not happen. I'm not part of this kind of conspiracy. But if you think so, I'm willing to resign and give up my position.
The latest news is his resignation has been accepted.
Oh.
And they're appointing a new ambassador to US, most likely to be a former foreign service officer who's a diplomat, who's a lady. And she's going to come to Washington and cement the relationship with... right now, the Pakistan is going through a diplomacy. The foreign minister is a lady. Mm-hmm. The ambassador to Pakistan, to Washington, will also be a lady. So it's an interesting development to watch.
In fact, if I recall correctly, they used to have Maliha Lodi several years ago. Maliha. She was a very successful, very dynamic lady, Pakistan ambassador to US. So who knows, a good combination of a very smart, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, the External Affairs Minister from Pakistan is a lady, as you said, and now she'll have a counterpart in US who will be a lady. I think, who knows, ladies can make it all work between the two countries. And then you have Hillary Clinton, Mrs. Clinton here on the other side. So, look, whatever makes it work between the two countries, it's good for us. So, Prakash, hold your thought on this one. We will be back right after a short break on Eye on South Asia. Stay right there.